Good afternoon. We, the communications players, invite you to witness our adaptation to Shakespeare's play Hamlet. In our interpretation of this revenge-filled tragedy, we chose to focus on the reason why Hamlet goes mad. We chose to interpret Act 1, Scenes 4 and 5, where Hamlet talks with his father's ghost. In this next scene, you will see Hamlet's interaction with the king's ghost. The king's ghost, as Shakespeare has written, explains to Hamlet the tragedy of his death. However, as you will see, Hamlet is continuously distracted by, well, you'll just have to find out for yourself.
Tonight on Unsolved Mystery Case Files, we're going to be taking a look at murder. The murder of a king, a rotten stench that happened to be lurking in Denmark. The king of Denmark was killed one day while sleeping in a garden. Some say he was bitten, others say he was murdered. His murder, or death, if you'd like to believe it that way, resulted in the deaths of 6 other people. His wife, his brother, 2 of his son's best friends, and his close personal advisor, and 1 other bystander. Now, a source close to the investigation said that Hamlet, in fact, the son of the king, was in fact tormented by his father's ghost. Hamlet told the insider that before he died, the ghost vowed that Hamlet must avenge him. Now, was it a man's own insanity that drove him to commit all these murders, and by proxy, the deaths of several others? Or was he really tormented by his father's ghost? Tonight, we find out.
We have here our interview, our inside source. Now, your name is Mr. Horatio, correct?
Yes, it is.
Now, Mr. Horatio, you're also a friend of Hamlet's, the prince, or king's son?
I'd say we're pretty good friends. Yeah.
You're his confidant, if you will.
Yeah.
You have him answer questions, things like that.
Yeah, kind of, when he's up in his head a bit, and he's kind of thinking, I help him clarify his thoughts so everyone else can kind of understand what he's talking about.
Well, given the present situation, I can understand what you need to clarify for the rest of the group. Now, Mr. Horatio, tell me, when was the first night you yourself saw this ghost, correct?
Yes, I saw the ghost of Hamlet's dad, yeah.
Where exactly did you see the ghost?
Well, we were doing guard duty, just kind of wandering up about the towers, and we just kind of showed up out of nowhere.
Interesting. So, it was, in fact, the form of Hamlet's father.
Yeah, it looked like Hamlet's, recently dead dad.
Interesting. Now, several nights after that, you were with Hamlet, correct?
Yes, I was. I was the one who told him about his father's ghost.
Now, after you told him about the ghost of his father, could you go through and tell us exactly what happened?
Well, I told him kind of after I got off guard duty and saw the ghost, so that night, the next day I told him, hey, we saw your dad's ghost, he was kind of wandering around, think you should talk to him. We tried talking to him, didn't work out, so maybe he would have a better chance. And so a couple nights later, that's when we escorted him up onto the ramparts where we saw, his dad's ghost, and just walking about, waiting for him to show up, and then all of a sudden we just appeared out of nowhere.
Interesting. Now, what exactly happened after that?
Well, the ghost wasn't really talking right away at first, and so we didn't know what to do, and then Hamlet said that he saw the ghost motion to him to come over, and so he said that he was going to go over. I warned him that he shouldn't, because he couldn't really defend him if something bad were to happen, but Hamlet wouldn't have it any other way.
Interesting. Now, being a close friend of Mr. Hamlet, you would say that his behavior beforehand was genuine and quite clear, would you? Would you not?
I would say so.
Now, describe his behavior after this incident.
Well, it was kind of right when that incident happened. That's when his actions, his attitude, kind of all went downhill. Just started kept talking about his father's ghost, about the plan that he had, and how he's going to expose Claudius, and didn't really make much sense, and I'm used to making sense of his nonsense.
Interesting. Now, did he mention what Claudius had done?
No, actually he did. He said that the ghost claimed that Claudius had murdered Hamlet, or Hamlet's dad, and so, I mean, but there's no proof of that. It was just what the ghost told him.
Now, you did in fact find out later that Claudius had in fact murdered the king, correct?
Yes, we did, but didn't know that at first.
Oh, interesting. Now, what exactly happened? Now, after Hamlet's father was killed and Hamlet was seen as a ghost, which we will give an artistic representation of in a few moments. Now, tell me exactly, what was the chain of events that led up to Ophelia's death?
It was really just Hamlet being crazy. He tried to get Ophelia to come over to his side, and Ophelia just turned him right in. So I think Hamlet shunned her, and that was it for her.
Interesting. And the two other friends of Hamlet, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, I believe, they also too were murdered.
Yeah, but they weren't really helping Hamlet anyway, so.
True. Two characters mentioned, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, were found, in fact, in Great Britain, or England, having been sent to the chopping block after being turned into traitorous spies. Now, in the last act, the last final act of the Kingdom of Denmark, Hamlet exposed Claudius as the killer, and the queen also died.
Yeah, it was very sad. I don't think Hamlet ever wanted his mom to die, but it's just kind of, she got caught in the mix of it.
Yes, and then right after that, a rivaling Prince Fortinbras, I believe, took over the kingdom. Is this correct?
Yes, he laid claim to the throne, and no one really stopped him.
Interesting. Well, there you have it, folks. Straight from the horse's mouth. An eyewitness account of how Hamlet was crazy.
Now, you've just heard eyewitness testimony from one of the confidant sources, Horatio, a good friend of Hamlet's. Other sources say that along with seeing Hamlet's ghost, Hamlet's father's ghost rather, which Horatio in fact confirmed, Hamlet was also seeing multiple specters, other spirits, plaguing him. Perhaps that drove him to insanity, perhaps it did not, and perhaps he was just a plain schizophrenic. However, the next segment of our show will be an artistic representation of what exactly happened on the night that Hamlet met his father's ghost. He says that, in this incident, he saw multiple ghosts. Now, we'll show you that incident.
It beckons you to go with it, as if some impartment did desire to you alone.
It will not speak, then I will follow it. It waves me still. Go, and I will follow.
Do not, my lord.
Hold off your hands. My fate cries out and makes each petty artery in this body as hard as the Nemean lion's nerve. Still I am called, unhand me, gentlemen. By heaven, I'll make this ghost of him and let me say, I say away. Go on, I'll follow thee. Oh, it is the ghost of thine father. Wilt thou speak with me?
Mark me.
I will.
I only have a short time here. As the day wanes, my time here is very short. There's been a murder most foul.
Murder?
Murder most foul.
Murder?
Murder, yes.
You cried murder, my father?
It was murder most foul.
Most foul? Unnatural?
Yes.
Wait, what is that? Does that usually happen? Like, did you see that?
Yeah, that was Headless Horseman. Don't need to worry about that.
So he's like your friend, he just kind of runs by and does whatever he wants.
Yeah, I just usually kind of leave him to do his thing. He chases a few people. Actually, kind of keeps the neighborhood clean.
Right. And he didn't help you with your whole little murder deal?
Nah, wasn't him.
Okay. Alright. I'm going nuts. I'm seeing ghosts and headless horsemen. That's wonderful. Just wonderful. So you were murdered, eh?
Yes, I was murdered.
By who?
Well, you see. You know Claudius over there?
Yeah, my uncle.
Yeah, your uncle. My brother, not so much a great guy. Well,
So he murdered you.
yes.
How?
Well, I was kind of sleeping, just taking a nap during the day, you know, getting my afternoon snooze in, and he snuck up and put poison in my ear.
Uh-huh.
Take hold of me. Let me show you what happened to your father.
I'm not too sure about this, but okay. As long as the cold goes away.
Trust me, I know what I'm doing.
Brief let him be, sleeping within his orchard, his custom always of the afternoon. Upon his secure hour thy uncle stole, with jurors of cursed heaven in a vial, and in the porches of my ear did pour the leprous distilment, whose effect holds such an enmity with blood of man, that swift its quicksilver courses through the natural gates and alleys of the body, and with the sudden vigor it doth posset and curd like eager dropping into milk. Thus was I sleeping by a brother's hand, of life, of crown, of queen at once dispatched, cut off even in the blossoms of my sin.
Now you know what has happened to your father. You must avenge him, Hamlet.
Okay, I got the avenging part. Can you make the cold go away? And stop being so creepy. I didn't... You know what? I don't know if that was a Christmas tree or what, but we definitely passed something, and now I'm really itchy. I don't really like this too much.
I'll take with me what must go.
You must revenge me from this most unnatural and foul murder.
I must avenge you for this murder?
Yarg, avenge him!
Use the force, Hamlet.
What the hell is going on?
Pay attention, this is important.
Okay, you want me to pay attention? There's a bunch of ghosts floating around. The headless horseman just
Ghost,
chased a little
ghost,
girl across
ghost.
the
You
freaking
really
thing.
need to lay off the shrooms, kid.
I'm not eating any shrooms.
Uh-huh.
You told me to avenge your murder. You're a ghost. What am I supposed to say? I'm the only one who apparently can see you and all the other freaks in nature that you happen to hang around with all the time.
And now you know what has happened, and you must avenge me. But you must promise me to leave your mother out of it, for she is innocent.
I will leave my mother out of this, but I will avenge your death because I have the power!
Very well. The time is near. I must take my leave. You know what you must do. Goodbye, my son.
But father! No! I know what I must do now. I must avenge this most foul and unnatural murder.
So there you have it, folks. The story of Hamlet. Letting you know that something was in fact rotten in the state of Denmark. Betrayed by his own brother, like Cain to Abel. Claudius killed his brother for the throne. Now, it remains up to you, the audience, to decide whether or not Hamlet had actually seen his father's ghost, or was actually completely insane. That's up to you. Now, we showed you all the facts. Claudius had in fact killed his brother by putting poison into his ear. Hamlet found out, whether through supernatural forces or through his own detective work. Perhaps that was what drew him mad. Perhaps that was also what drew Ophelia mad. But, in the end, the actions did cause the death of 6 other individuals.